You passed someone on the street today. Maybe you made eye contact for half a second. Maybe you looked away. You didn't know them. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet alarm went off. You didn't hear it. You didn't feel it as a thought. But it was there, and it has been firing inside human skulls for a very, very long time. Here is the strange part. That stranger almost certainly meant you no harm. Statistically, they were just a person trying to get somewhere. Same as you. But your brain doesn't care about statistics. Your brain is running ancient software on a modern world. And that software was written in a time when a stranger could mean only one thing: a threat. Think about what the word stranger actually means. It means someone outside your group, someone you cannot read, someone whose intentions you have no data on. For most of human history, that was genuinely dangerous. Your survival depended on knowing who was in your tribe and who wasn't. There was no neutral category. You were either trusted kin or an unknown variable. And unknown variables got people killed. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying human group sizes. His research led to what became known as Dunbar's number. The idea is simple. Your brain has a cognitive limit on how many stable social relationships it can maintain. That number is roughly 150. That is the ceiling. That is the circle of people your mind can genuinely track, trust, evaluate, and predict. For most of human existence, 150 was also roughly the size of the world you lived in. You knew everyone who mattered. You understood their history, their loyalties, their moods. You had years of data on every face you saw regularly. A stranger, then, was not just unfamiliar. A stranger was someone who existed outside the entire map your brain had drawn of the social world. Here is what that means for you right now. You live in a city of millions. You ride elevators with strangers. You sit next to them on planes. You watch them on screens. You scroll past their faces thousands of times a day. But your brain's architecture has not been updated to handle this. The cognitive hardware that processes social trust was built for 150 people. You are running it at a scale of 8 billion. That tension does not disappear. It just becomes noise you learn to tune out. Until you can't. Psychologist Paul Ekman spent years studying microexpressions. He found that humans are extraordinarily sensitive to tiny shifts in facial muscle movement. A flicker of contempt, a millisecond of fear, a twitch of disgust. These signals pass across a face in under a quarter of a second. Most people cannot name what they saw, but their brain logged it, it processed it, and it nudged their emotional state without asking permission. This is the machinery running under your daily interactions with strangers. You are scanning every face. Unconsciously, automatically, your brain is asking the same question it has always asked: friend or threat, trust or caution. And here is the uncomfortable finding. The default answer, in the absence of evidence, leans toward caution. Research by social psychologists Lasana Harris and Susan Fisk at Princeton showed something striking. When participants in brain scans looked at images of homeless people or drug addicts, the part of the brain normally activated by seeing other humans barely responded. The medial prefrontal cortex, which handles social cognition, went quiet. People were processing other humans as objects, not persons, not out of cruelty, out of cognitive distance, out of the ancient circuitry that says, outside the circle, outside the category of safe. That is what strangers trigger when the social signal is low enough. Not hate, not malice. Absence. A kind of default dehumanization that happens below conscious thought. You have probably felt the reverse of this. Think of the last time you were in a foreign city, far from home, and you heard someone speaking your language. Something opened up inside you. A stranger became a near kin in an instant. The signal shifted. The ancient software found a match. That is your tribal hardware responding to a cue. Same language. Possible same origin. Possible shared allegiances. Probable shared norms. The distance collapsed. Your brain reclassified them. This is the mechanism behind in-group and out-group psychology. It is not racism or tribalism in the way we use those words today. It is older than those concepts. It is the base code. Race, nationality, religion, team colors, accent, clothing, political affiliation. These are all surface features that your brain's ancient trust circuitry uses as proxies for the original question: are you one of mine? Henry Teichfel, a social psychologist who survived the Holocaust, spent his career trying to understand how quickly humans divide themselves. In his famous minimal group experiments in the 1970s, he assigned strangers to arbitrary groups, Group A and Group B. The assignment was meaningless. Participants knew it was meaningless. But within minutes, they were giving more resources to their group than to the other one. They were rating their group's members as more likable, more trustworthy, more deserving. The groups had existed for minutes. There was no shared history, no shared struggle, no real stakes. And yet the machinery switched on immediately. That is how powerful the need to classify is. Your brain is not comfortable with the uncategorized. It needs to know where to file you. And the default filing system is ancient, known or unknown, inside or outside, safe or uncertain. Now here is where it gets truly strange. The modern world did not just increase the number of strangers in your life. It created something your brain has no category for at all, a parasocial relationship. You watch a person on a screen every day. You hear their voice, you learn their opinions, their habits, their sense of humor. You feel something for them. You might even feel like they know you, but they don't. They have never seen your face. They do not know your name. And yet, your brain has been building a social file on them, the same way it builds one on the person you see every morning in the break room. This is not delusion. This is ancient trust software doing exactly what it was built to do, applied to a context it was never designed for. You feel closer to some people you have never met than to some people who live on your street. That is not irrational. That is your hardware, running on the wrong input. And the streets themselves. Think about what you do every day in a dense modern city. You move through crowds of hundreds of strangers without eye contact, without acknowledgement, without a single word exchanged. Urban sociologist Irving Goffman called this civil inattention, the quiet social contract of the city. You signal to strangers that you see them, that you are not a threat, and that you expect the same in return, all without speaking, all in the span of a glance. But that social contract has a cost. To maintain civil inattention, you have to suppress something. You have to dampen the ancient alarm system just enough to function. You have to make peace with thousands of unresolved unknowns moving around you every single day. And that is exhausting in a way you cannot always name. Cities have higher rates of anxiety. Social isolation is a growing public health crisis. Loneliness in dense urban environments is a documented paradox. Millions of strangers, and somehow less connection, because connection was never about proximity, it was about knowledge, about the slow accumulation of signal, about watching someone across enough meals, enough conflicts, enough seasons to build a real file on who they are. That takes time. That takes shared experience. That takes the kind of repeated exposure that your ancestors got automatically because they lived their entire lives surrounded by the same 150 people. You do not have that anymore. And no amount of social media followers, parasocial bonds, or city density replaces it. The architecture requires real signal, and real signal takes time to build. So the next time you pass someone on the street and feel nothing, or feel that faint, sourceless unease, understand what is actually happening. Your brain is not broken. It is not prejudiced in some deep personal failing. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is waiting for data. It is holding the file open. It is scanning for the signal that tells it, this one is safe. The tragedy is not that the system exists. The tragedy is that you live in a world that gives you fewer and fewer chances to complete the file. You passed a stranger today. Your brain ran its ancient check. It came back inconclusive. And you kept walking, carrying that open question, the same open question your ancestors carried, every time they moved through a world that was bigger than they could hold.